morning, good morning to you. Good morning, and how do you do? Welcome to Free to Hope Conversation with Edwina B. That's right, Miss Edwina B. You know the real deal, Miss Cuckoo for Cocoa Pops. And I am so happy to be Cuckoo for Cocoa Pops because I learned how to laugh at myself. I learned how to laugh at other things. I just learned how to laugh. You know why? I tell you real quickly. I was diagnosed with Bell's palsy years ago, and it is incurable, right? And so the only way I know that it still exists is in my slurred speech at times. But when the doctor gave me some instructions, he said, Edwina, when you're feeling like a little stressed or a lot stressed and you feel like whatever, he said, make yourself laugh. Just make yourself laugh. Just make yourself laugh. And that will break it, And I've been doing it ever since. And this morning, for whatever reason, I feel so sluggish. I told you I'm transparent. I'm authentic. I feel a little sluggish. And it's okay. But guess what I did? I hit that live button this morning because my God chose me to rise. And I want to give him the honor, the praise, the glory, the hallelujah, the worship, and most importantly, the acknowledgement. I don't care how sluggish I am. And I don't care what it takes to get on here and continue to be transparent and authentic. I'm going to tell you what it is, how it is, why it is, and who's going to help me with whatever is ailing me. And so, obviously, he chose you this morning to join me here on Free to Hope. Y'all know what it means, right? Free to hope. From recovery, emerge empowered. From recovery, emerge empowered. Let me stay on that for a minute. From recovery, emerge empowered. That's the acronym that was given to me years ago for free because I felt in my 12-step spiritual program, using the principles, tools, and resources, I've been set on a pathway to freedom, to be totally free. Not just from alcohol, drugs, and the associated behaviors, but free from anxiety and stress and concerns and worries and all of that, right? And so as a result of participating in my own recovery, these spiritual tools, resources, and principles were at my beck and call. And so when I began to listen to my predecessors, I began to practice the principles of what they're saying. I began to read. I began to internalize. I began to evaluate. And when I did, the more freedom I received. So it is from recovery, I have emerged empowered. So let me give you another example. I had shoulder surgery, right? A few months ago. And look, from recovery, I'm emerging empowered. I tell you, it's still a little stiff, but it's a lot better than it was a few months ago when I darn near cussed my son out because he took my pain pills. He ain't talked to me yet because I called him out of his name, but it's okay. But from recovery, emerge empowered. So when you're going through a storm, when you're going through an operation, when you're going through a little something, if you keep the faith, if you keep doing the next right thing, even if you continue to stumble, but you stumble forward, you are going to be set free. From recovery, emerge empowered. And the Spirit just gave me this. the fact that we were born into a sinful world and of a sinful nature, my journey is designed to set me free to look to the hills from where my help comes from, right? And so through my life's experiences, accepting, analyzing, reviewing through my fourth step, I understand that I was going through something, went through something, and what now what? What's the next right thing to do? No. What's the next right spiritual thing to do? So as a result of embracing life on life terms, okay, into a sinful world and a sinful nature, embracing it, but learning and applying and practicing spiritual tools to apply to all earthly matters. Designed to set me free from the bondage of self and others and this sinful world and this sinful nature. You see that? Thank you, Holy Spirit. And then once I have been set free, and it's ongoing, you need to know that too, that we are obligated, it is our duty to give hope to others. Yes, I haven't been set free to keep it all to myself. No. And so, because I've been set free in so many areas of my life, particularly my spirit, right? I practice the fruit of the spirit now, right? Often as I possibly can, recognizing that my humanists don't like that, right? But it's okay. I shared yesterday at this civic association about Narcan, right? And I don't know what the spirit did, but it led me to sharing my story. And man, they was like engaged. They like, what? But I still got my message across. But what I was letting them know, that I found out through this spiritual journey, that this is only the vessel. And I need to recognize the spirit or spirits that are occupying this vessel, okay? And it wasn't until I was underneath that parked car 34 plus years ago that I recognized that whoever and whatever spirits was in this body, this vessel, I wanted to be gone. And I hollered out to God, whoever they say you are, take me out or show me a better way. So I was set on a pathway to freedom, right? And I was set on a pathway to be free from not just drugs and alcohol and mental illness and all that, but a host of things that kept me in bondage, right? And so once I was on and continue to be on that pathway, it is my obligation, and my honor to give hope to others. And what does hope stand for? The Spirit gave me the acronym for that too. Help others prosper equally. I shared with them yesterday that our disease of addiction doesn't discriminate and recovery doesn't discriminate, right? And so when we have been brought through something, right, it is our responsibility to want to help somebody else. We are born to serve. So I just needed to spend a little more time on Free to Hope. All right. And so let me ask you while I take a sip of coffee. If Pam is watching, I do want to support your cause. Pam, mom, I tell you, boy, that Bell palsy is something in these dentures. Mom Pam and Mom Bell, we are affectionately called that by our son, AJ Harding. Morning Coffee with AJ Harding. And then when Tom allows, I join into Morning Coffee with God, right? With Jay Macklin. And so she and I adore AJ Harding. And I mean, it's just unbelievable how God has used people of the world who are no longer in the world, right? Spiritually, and doing God's will. I mean, this boy's on fire. I tell you, I don't know now. Yeah, no. I love my Pastor Bullock. Yes, I do. But when it comes to educating, I mean, in a half hour, what AJ Harding does and how he explains it, and the boy is like on fire, right? He has been set free from his addiction of selling drugs and the thug life and all. He has been set free. His mom, Dee Dee, boy, I tell you, she was one of us, but she died in her addiction, right? So God did what he needed to do with her, but look what he did for him. Okay, and so the boy's on fire. He's saving lives. He's sharing the word. He's inspiring, encouraging people, and most importantly, he is educating people. He's not preaching. He's educating. There's a big difference. So AJ Harding, hats off to you, my son. Okay, so Pam, I am going to support you if you're listening. All right, so how was your day yesterday? It's getting ready. No, it's already fall. And I'm going to take another sip of coffee because I'm ready to get into our topic, okay? Now, the only announcement that I'm going to make that I continue to make is what we're doing with Benjamin Twinbee Brown, okay? And so I know, listen. Look, y'all still talk about Jesus, right? Okay, then. I can still talk about Dr. Benjamin Twinbee Brown, yes, and he's the reason why God chose him to choose me to sit before you, and for God to choose you to tune in, and listen to me. Okay, so it's like a ripple effect. But Don Thomas and his wife and daughter are relocating up here in Delaware, and yes, I am opening up my home to them. Yes, I am. I'm in this big old house by myself, and it's okay. I like being by myself. I love being by myself, right? But there is a need, and so why not open my home to my dear? I'm gonna call him my son. He's young, so I can call him my son, right? And his wife and Legacy, right? And so they are the production and operations team for Community Communications Corporation. And so they should be up here within the next couple of weeks. And we're going to be planning a host of events under Community Communications Corporations. Lyric is a rap artist, right? She has been through some things. She has shared about how God delivered her from some things. Don has been through some things. He produces films and documentaries and other things to educate the community, making the positive outshine the negative. And y'all know I've been through some things, right? And so we will be hosting a platform of different things in the upcoming months, and we're going to celebrate his legacy and the release of his book before the end of the year is out. Okay, so y'all stay tuned. We're going to be soliciting sponsors, supporters, volunteers, etc. Okay, are you ready for the topic today? Are you ready for the topic today? I don't know. Let's see. All right, let's go with our topic for today. Okay, now, if you recall, a couple weeks ago, we were talking about emotional stability, right? We were talking about how we must be mindful of our emotions and recognize how they can allow us to go right or go left, depending upon what spirits are occupying this vessel. And so in Alcoholics Anonymous, and the 5 agreements by the Uis family, the gospel songs that I listen to, my teaching and preaching by my pastor, Dr. Christopher Allen Bullock, and Reverend Dr. Debbie Bullock. I love my first family, yes, right? And Dr. Sonia Strickland, right, of P3 Global. And so they are just a few of the spiritual tools that I use in addition to listening to Jay Macklin and my buddy AJ Harding and others. But those two in particular. Oh, and let me add my most recent partnership or involvement is with Dr. Lugenia Rucker, right? And she has been a longtime friend of the family. And I tune into her. I watched the transformation in her life. And she has set up a magazine, and I signed up and volunteered to be one of the founding writers. Okay, so you'll be hearing more about Dr. Lugenia Rucker and working with Mary Jones, I believe her name is, and how we are engaged in putting forth and putting out a magazine of various stories by women and men. Okay. And so I heard in AA the other day that the magazine was the most productive way to get the word out back in the early 1920s, right? It was magazines and newspapers, right? And so we're going back in a different way and producing through Lugenia Rucker's magazine project to solicit contributing writers for their stories, because everybody have a story. Okay, so because of the emotional balance that I am going to elaborate on today, writing has helped me to maintain an emotional balance. Why you say that? Okay. Now, how many of you back in the day kept a diary, right? Huh? You kept a diary, right? You wrote about how you felt. You wrote about what you was thinking. You wrote about your dreams, your ambitions. You wrote. You expressed your emotions on paper, and therefore it created some type of balance within you because you was getting out what you were thinking in on paper, right? And so whatever the situation was, you was expressing your emotions, and in any type of situation, there's always a negative and a positive, right? And so there's always two sides to a coin, right? Okay, so, but in Alcoholics Anonymous, they showed me how to obtain emotional balance by keeping a journal. Yes, I lied when I went to meetings. I lied when I went to the therapist. I lied when I went to counseling. I lied. Even though I wanted to stop drinking and drugging and prostituting, but for some reason, all those masks that I had been wearing over the years, I didn't know how to remove them. So I acted as if I said what you wanted me to say, type of thing, right? And so for me, I know that, and I haven't put this up in a while, right? And I'm gonna put it up now. I'm gonna put it up now. It says, right? Wait, where you at? It says, consciously or unconsciously, we allowed people, places, and things, situations, circumstances, and or triggers, right, to make us put on various masks. Have you ever asked yourself why? Well, it's time to know why, okay? And so it was instructed that I keep a journal, and I started my journal back in 1990, and I kept it on and off for 4 years. And so that allowed me to be true to myself because I lied to everybody else. And the sooner I tell myself the truth, the sooner I'll get better and the sooner I can achieve emotional balance. Okay, so let's read and then we're going to dissect this baby, okay? All right, here it goes. Woo! Emotional balance, September the 5th. Made direct amends to such people wherever possible. This is from the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions on page 83. Now, the person in recovery shares his experience by saying, when I survey my drinking days, I recall many people whom my life touched casually, but whose days I troubled through my anger and sarcasm. Woo. These people are untraceable, and direct amends to them are not possible. The only amends I can make to those untraceable individuals, the only changes for the better I can offer, are indirect amends made to other people whose paths briefly cross mine. Courtesy and kindness, regularly practiced, help me to live in emotional balance at peace with myself. Okay. Now, you said, Edwina, what are they talking about? All right. So you remember in the month of August, we did step 8, where we made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. When we did our 4-step inventory, made a searching and fearless more inventory of ourselves, where we went all the way back as far as we can remember to where those attitudes, ideas, behaviors, situations, circumstances developed all these emotions and reactions and responses. We wanted to know not what's wrong with us, but what happened to us. So now we are more mature, right? And we can look back and not blame, but to gain an understanding of what happened. And so that's what the 4th step did. So when we came to step 8, we needed to make a list of those individuals we harmed along the way, whether they harmed us or not. The question is, what harm did I cause in any way, shape, form, or fashion? Because that information, that situation still bothers me. I remember I was going to take it to my grave. I wasn't going to tell nobody, right? But guess what? That prevents me from healing. Okay. So when we do step 8, I made a column of 3, right? Those that I'm willing to make amends to, what happened, what the situation was, and what type of amends to make, whether it be indirect or direct amends. Either I change my ways, right? That's an indirect amends, right? Or I make a direct amends and I give somebody $100 that I stole from them. Okay, you got it, all right? And then when I did, I'm willing to, then I looked at my maybe list. I maybe will make amends to them. And I evaluated the situation, the circumstances, and the part that I played in it. And I said, well, I either need to change my ways or I need to make direct amends to these individuals, organizations, or institutions. Okay. And then I got to the 3rd list. I will never make amends to these people. Well, recovery has taught me, nobody escapes. We don't want nobody to rent any space in our head. And so those individuals that I felt harmed me the most, I too caused some harm. And therefore, I need to make amends to them in one way, shape, form, or fashion for the part that I played in it. All right. All right, you got that? Okay. So now step 9, the month of September, we're going to be talking about making amends. Gaining peace with ourselves, with others, with the world, with society. How do we make direct or indirect amends so that we can be set free, that we can sleep at night? We don't have to walk down the street looking over our shoulders or walk across the street when we see somebody, or avoid going someplace because somebody's going to be there because of what happened, what transpired, right, between us. And so recovery said, no. Hell to the no. No. We're going to face everything and recover. We're going to face everything and be restored. We're going to face everything and rebound. Yes, we're going to face everything. Everything. And we're going to walk through our fear because we want freedom, not a little bit of freedom, no. We want to be set free from recovery, emerge empowered, right? And so this is what this particular step is going to be talking about. So let's dissect it for a minute, all right? So it says here in the beginning, right? It says, made direct amends to such people wherever possible. Okay. So this guy, he says, when I survey my drinking days. Okay. So have you, even if you were drinking or drugging or partying, it's just an inventory. Have you ever surveyed your life? Have you ever taken an inventory of your life as far as you can remember? Have you ever conducted a survey of your life? Huh? No. I mean, you may have thoughts about this and a memory about that, but actually sitting down and writing and evaluating and writing about, and surveying your life. Hmm? Huh? So we in Alcoholics Anonymous, that's what we do. That's what we are instructed to do, and that is what we are suggested to do if we don't want to go back to drinking, and two, if we want to continue to stay stopped from drinking, and three, do we want a spiritual led life and not one based on our humanness? Okay, and so he says, right, when I survey my drinking days, I recall many people whom my life touched casually. Okay. So what he is saying is that when I survey his drinking days, my drinking days, I recall many people whom my life touched casually. Now, I can remember my friends in elementary school, junior high school, right? I was only with them for a few times. I remember at the recreation center at Connie Mack or Panatti, I ran across people here and there, right? And even then, I was I was a bad little girl. Yes, I was. I was. What's that word? What's that word? I was ornery. Yeah. I was. I'll be the first. Listen, I told you I'm transparent. I was ornery, right? And so I would trip people. I would walk behind students and stick them with a pen in their butt, right? Or I would come home from TM Paris and these nuns or people from Catholic school, the white people, right? I would walk behind them and stick them with. I was ornery. Yes, friends that not friends, but people that I came across casually. I caused some harm, right? Okay, so let's get back to it, right? And so he says, right, when I surveyed my drinking days, I recall many people whom my life touched casually, but whose days I troubled through my anger and sarcasm. Okay. And so now the fact that I was ornery and mischievous and all that kind of stuff, I was battling with some anger. I was, because I came from an abusive father, and he abused my mother and us. And so there was, even though I would put on the face of a clown a lot of time, there was a lot of anger and a lot of hurt in me. And they always say, your anger and everything comes out of your neck in a different way, right? And so, and when I would go to school and I would be kind of withdrawn and people want to know what's going on, what's this, what's that. Sometimes I would pull down my sleeve because of the ironing cord whippings that I got, right? And so, but here, this is talking about during his drinking days when I was drinking and I did some awful, horrific things to people as they done to me. However, the focus is not on them, it's on me. Okay. And so it's saying here, whose days I troubled through my anger and my sarcasm. Okay. These people are untraceable, and direct amends to them are not possible. Okay. These people are untraceable. I don't remember, okay. You see what I mean? Like, I don't know who they are. I ran across them then. I don't know. I just don't know. Right. So they are untraceable. Okay. But I still remember the things that I did. I still remember the things that I said. I still remember how I acted, how I lied, how I manipulated, how I caused harm. I still remember those things. That's why I was able to repeat some of the things I did in my honorary self, right? And so he goes on to say, because they are untraceable, I can't make direct amends to them. Okay, it's not possible. Okay, and he goes on to say, the only amends I can make to those untraceable individuals, the only changes for the better I can offer are indirect amends made to other people whose paths briefly crossed mine. Okay, so let me give you an example. Okay, I'm transparent. I'm telling you, I'm Jill. I used to get smacked in the face, and I used to get food smashed in my face. And as a babysitter, 12, 13, I don't know, I wanted to know what that felt like. And so when I babysitted this one, Earlene and Abraham, I remember the couple, right? I remember the couple, right? And I don't remember the child's name, but I wanted to see what it felt like to smack a baby and to smash food in that baby's face. Yes, and I did. And the parents would often wonder why the baby would cry every time I came around. See, that baby knew. That baby knew, and I knew, right? And so, because of that, I was haunted by how I abused that baby, right? And I also, listen, as a babysitter, reading these porno books that my dad and my aunt had, right? I must have been, 12 or 13 years old, and I was babysitting a 5-year-old boy, right? And I wanted to know what a wee felt like in my vagina, and I manipulated and sat on top of him. And in other words, I molested him. Yes, I did. Yes, I caused harm to that little boy. Okay. And so I don't even remember his name. I don't remember where the girl, the baby is. They're untraceable, right? But I know that still haunted me because I did those things. And the fact that I can tell you right now, here on whoever's watching, I must be free as hell. Oh, yes, I am. I am free. I am free because I've learned that the things I did and said in the past, right, is a result of what happened. Not that there was something wrong with me, but what happened to me and why I did those things that I did, why I said those things that I said, because I learned what happened to me. I perpetuated a lot of the ideas, attitudes, and behaviors of those that were responsible for me. Okay? And so these individuals are untraceable. However, as long as I have been in recovery, when it comes to children, not just my own, and even my own children who are adults now, but when my grandchildren came along, right, I had a different perspective. Why? Because I had a spiritual awakening, a spiritual experience that brought forth a spiritual breakthrough. So, in my way of making amends to those untraceable people is to include other children. When I take my grandchildren to Orlando, when I take them to Atlantic City, when I take them to the amusement park, I take other children. That's my way of making direct amends of the people that cross my path now and have since in recovery, right? The three amigos, right? It was Elijah, my grandson, and it was Little Wayne, and it was AJ. AJ passed away, but I took all of them, on trips with us, on cruises. And I would do the same, and I did the same for other people in my fellowship because I knew that their children would not be exposed. But that was my way of making direct amends to other children that I couldn't make amends to the ones that I harmed directly. Okay, you got my drift, right? All right, so then he says here, right? Courtesy and kindness regularly practiced help me to live in emotional balance at peace with myself. Okay. Courtesy and kindness. Courtesy and kindness. Yes. Courtesy and kindness. Mm-hmm. Think about it. We are like a double-edged sword. We are like a coin on one side with Dr. Jekyll on the other side. We Mr. Hyde, you know, our humanness, and the way we were brainwashed, domesticated, trained, whatever. You know, we act accordingly based on what we were taught, how to think, what to say, how to act. Okay, and that's outlined definitely in the Five Agreements by the Uwais family, right? But this is the difference. It was okay for me to be unkind and not courteous to somebody else. But when somebody else was not kind to me and courteous to me, I got an attitude. Huh? You see what I mean? It's okay for me to do you, but it's not okay for you to do me. That's selfishness, that's ego, right? That's self-centeredness, right? And so when we talk about the ninth step and striving for spiritual freedom from the way we have lived, the way we have thought, the things we've said and done, that we're on this road to freedom from recovery, emerge empowered, right? So by me asking, no, demanding this God who I didn't know, who met me underneath this parked car 34 years ago to take me out this life or show me a better way. Wow. Oh, was he? Oh my God. He did that for me. He did that for me. I was chosen. And so, therefore, if I was chosen, then he was and is going to prepare me to be a change agent, to be of a different spirit encased in this body, right? To practice being courteous and kind to other people. And I love it when it says regularly practice. Because when we come into recovery, we may have put the drink or drug down, but we sure ain't put them doggone behaviors down. Oh, no, no, no. And I can laugh now, right? Because many of us, like me, thought that the drink was our problem, the drug was our problem, but it wasn't. That was an outside crutch, a substance that we used so that we didn't have to deal with internal issues, things that we were trying to conceal that needed to be revealed in order for us to heal. But no, being afraid of being judged or criticized, we wasn't telling nobody nothing. Listen, I'm free, y'all. Can't you see? I am free. Listen, I ain't intimidated by no man. I have no secrets. I have no secrets. Because of this spiritual program called Alcoholics Anonymous and the spiritual principles, tools, and resources that I use. And it says here, courtesy and kindness regularly practice help me to live in emotional balance and at peace with myself. To live in emotional balance. Yeah. See, when I was in my addiction and before my addiction, my emotions was just all over the place and not knowing anything about, peace and all that. All I remember is chaos, some peace, some. It was just a mixture thing. Right. However, the more I got into my mental illness and my addiction, my emotions were like, what? They was like, I can't. Well, I can't explain it. They was like all over the place, right? I became somebody different, and I shared last night at that civic association that when I was begging my dad to kill me when he had those two guns on the pillow because I had stole his money, I was asking my dad to take me out. I wanted him to take me out. I didn't want those people in the street to kill me. I was asking my dad to kill me, to take me out. I didn't know what was wrong with me, what had become of me. And I was begging my dad to take me out. And my mother, bless her heart, she said, Eddie, don't do it. That's not Edwina. That's not your child, Eddie. Don't take her out. You can always get money, but you will never get an Edwina back. And he would say, but she took my money. She said, my mom said, Eddie, listen to me. Don't do it. Oh, Lord have mercy. Talking about emotional balance. Could you imagine the upheaval my father was experiencing at the same time my mother was experiencing because he was trying to take her, one of her children out? And he didn't, right? And so I shared that with the person yesterday because this is the vessel. So those spirits that was occupying this vessel at that time, it wasn't Edwina. It wasn't the Edwina that God made. And so that's why with this emotional balance, I understand a lot better because I am no longer practicing feeding the flesh. I am practicing more of feeding my spirit. By practicing the fruit of the spirit, I am a new creature. When my God met me underneath that parked car, y'all. Yeah. Yes. Yes. These are tears of joy, y'all. I aspire to obtain peace, tranquility, serenity with myself first. If you don't have peace with yourself first, if you have not dealt with the shame and guilt with yourself first, if you haven't learned how to love and be tolerant and patient with yourself first, there's no way you can do to others what you haven't done for yourself. And that's why with the 8th step, I put myself at the top of the list. And by accepting that God kept me here, I did and will do anything to stay in this road to spiritual freedom. And so I know what it means, right? To recognize when my flesh is calling, like AJ Hardy talked about the young prophet and the old prophet, and well, y'all got to listen to AJ Hardy because I got to get ready to go to my meeting, right? And so it's amazing how, when I ask myself that question that I asked y'all to ask yourself, is what you want to do, what you want to say, what you want to act like, is it going to feed the flesh or is it going to feed the spirit? All right. And so by being put on this spiritual pathway, I'm obtaining emotional balance every day. Why? Because I apply those spiritual principles, tools, and resources to all earthly matters. And I may feel uncomfortable for a second, but it don't last long. And I have to accept whatever outcome is going to come based on my choices and my decisions. A lot of times it will be revealed that something was my will or was it God's will. And I learn from them. Okay? Listen, life is too short. And I think I'm going to go to my meeting on time today. All right? Because I have an announcement to make. So let me say this. I love you. You love me. We are one big old family with a great big hug and a kiss from me to you. Won't you say you love me too? Ooh, ooh. You like that? Be of service to someone today. Show some courtesy. Show some kindness, right? Seek emotional balance. Let nothing and nobody steal your joy, your peace, your serenity, your tranquility. If you need a short prayer, take this one. God, Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And if it's regarding people, you say this: God, grant me the serenity to accept the people I cannot change, courage to change the person that I can, and the wisdom to know that that person is me. Change starts with me. Change starts with you. Have a blessed day. And if it's God's will that we will be reunited tomorrow, I'll be here. And I hope you will be too, but only if it's God's will. Be blessed. Lord, I thank you.